I put a lock on my daughter's bedroom door and told my wife it's staying until her brother moves out. My brother-in-law Keith lost his house after his divorce last year. 2 months ago, he moved into our place with his twin daughters, Paige and Morgan, who are both 18. My daughter Ruby is 16, and her cousins basically treat our house like it's theirs. From day one, Paige and Morgan had zero respect for Ruby's privacy. They just walk into her room whenever they wanted and take whatever they felt like using. Makeup, hair straighteners, phone chargers, even her school laptop. One time, Ruby kept complaining to me about it, but my wife and Keith kept brushing it off, saying it's just normal teenage girl stuff and that they're family, so they should share. I tried talking to the twins multiple times. I'd say, hey, you need to ask before taking Ruby's things. They'd nod and agree and then do the exact same thing the next day. My wife would just shrug and say, girls will be girls. But this wasn't borrowing. This was them going through Ruby's stuff like it was a store they could shop at for free. The final straw happened 3 weeks ago. Ruby had been saving up her allowance for over a month to buy this $60 makeup kit from MAC. It was one of those fancy ones that looks like a paint set with all these different shades. She was so excited when she finally had enough money, she hid it in her room and only used it for special occasions because she wanted it to last. One afternoon, Ruby came home from school and found the makeup kit sitting on her bed completely destroyed. Someone had mixed all the colors together and used it so roughly that half the shades were just muddy brown messes. She knew immediately it was one of her cousins. She came downstairs crying, holding this ruined makeup kit, asking why they couldn't just leave her stuff alone. I went upstairs and asked Paige and Morgan about it. Morgan admitted she'd used it, but said she didn't think it was a big deal. She actually said Ruby could just get another one from Walmart for like 15 bucks. So why was she being so dramatic? I told my wife we needed to do something about this, but she just said she'd ask Morgan to apologize. That night, I found Ruby packing some of her stuff into a backpack. She told me she was taking her jewelry and her nice clothes to her friend's house because she didn't trust leaving anything valuable at home anymore. My 16-year-old daughter was hiding her belongings at other people's houses because her own cousins wouldn't stop stealing from her. The next day, I went to the hardware store and bought a lock for Ruby's door, a real one with a key. I installed it that afternoon and gave Ruby both copies. When Keith and the twins got home and saw the lock, they completely lost it. The girls started crying, saying I was treating them like criminals. Keith came storming into the kitchen, asking what the hell I thought I was doing. I told him straight up that his daughters are thieves, and until they learn to respect other people's property, Ruby gets a lock. He got red in the face, yelling about how his daughters aren't thieves, and that it's completely normal for girls their age to borrow each other's stuff. He said Ruby shouldn't be buying expensive adult makeup in the first place, and that she was trying to act older than she is. Then he suggested my wife needed to handle this problem in Ruby's behavior. I told him this was between me and my wife and he needed to back off, but my wife jumped in, taking his side. She was furious that I'd embarrassed her brother and his daughters by putting a lock where they could see it. She said I was supposed to treat Paige and Morgan like my own daughters, and that the lock was preventing them from spending time with Ruby. She demanded I remove it immediately. I looked at her and said the lock does not get removed until your brother and his daughters are out of our house. She started screaming that I was trying to kick her family out onto the street and that her whole family would hate me for this. That's when I reminded her that her own parents refused to take Keith in. Her own brother and sister said no when he needed help. I was the one who agreed to let them move in and deal with this chaos. So if she wanted to shame someone, she should start with her family who left us to handle their mess.